guys, I hope you can hear me. I am on the very noisy and busy Orchard Road, but I have come here to go back for my review with Asia Medici. I'm going to get my results today from all the tests that I shared with you guys previously, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what Dr. Colin has to say. Hopefully we'll get some answers today. And yeah, I'll follow up with you guys once I've spoken to him. Here is Orchard. It's looking really busy today actually. They've even got the Christmas decorations already lining the streets, so I'm going to have to come back soon at night time. But let's head there now. Right, I'm gonna have a sip of tea because this could be a long video and I have got a lot of talking to do. Can I just start off by saying being a woman is extremely frustrating sometimes, especially when it goes to getting an accurate diagnosis related to women's health issues. So I'm basically going to be sharing with you guys today what I've been through over the past 3 years and the kind of results that I've received recently with regards to PCOS. So let me just start off right off the bat. I found out last week that I have essentially been misdiagnosed with PCOS for the past 3 years. So I made a video, I think it was almost 3 years ago now, I'll link it up here, where I was devastated that I found out I had PCOS. I was told by my GP after having an internal ultrasound. They found cysts on my ovaries, I think roughly about 16, 17 cysts on each ovary. The straight up diagnosis my doctor gave me was you've got PCOS and you'll probably struggle to conceive. And that was that. I was just sent home and it was pretty upsetting. You know, I genuinely was upset for a couple of weeks because as a woman being told that it's going to be difficult for you to conceive, it's not something you want to hear, especially if you want to have a family. And yeah, so why I went to get an internal ultrasound, I initially went there because I thought that I would have endometriosis. I still do think I could have endometriosis. Essentially, I have just struggled with insanely painful cramps ever since I was a teenager. When I went on the pill for 10 years or so, they did die down, but as soon as I came off the pill again, the cramps came back and they are just pretty debilitating every month, to the point where I would be fainting, throwing up and just rolling around in agony for hours. So that's essentially why I wanted to get checked, because I thought this isn't normal in my late 20s as well. I always thought it was a teenage thing, but apparently not. So instead of being tested for endo, I was giving an internal ultrasound first to see what was going on there, and that's where the cysts were found. So essentially a laparoscopy, I think that's how you say it, is the surgical procedure you would normally have to find out if you've got endometriosis or not. It's an internal surgery, and essentially I've been told by a few GPs it's probably not worth having the operation because it could potentially cause more damage than good, because they have to go in and scrape and it's a bit gross. So I've just been told that that would only really be an option if I was actually trying to conceive and I was struggling. Long story short, I could still have endometriosis, but I apparently do not have PCOS, which is absolutely crazy. Every time I've gone for an internal ultrasound or an external ultrasound, or I've gone to the GP, everyone has looked at me and said, you don't look like you've got PCOS. And I would be like, what does that even mean? And they're just like, they said, you're too skinny to have PCOS. You don't look like the typical PCOS, person that has it. And in some way I was like, okay, because the symptoms that came along with PCOS I didn't typically have. So, struggling with your weight, maybe facial hair or dark hair on your arms. Mood swings was something, probably the only thing that I could relate to, because I've had terrible mood swings pretty much my whole life. I've just constantly felt overly hormonal. But everything else I was like, oh, okay. And then I also thought, well, typically bad menstrual cramps isn't really a symptom of PCOS either. That's more endometriosis. So it's been very confusing. For the past few years I've just been trying to figure out how I could maybe ease my pains, manage my pains a little bit better with things like diet. So I went on keto diet last year for a few months, and honestly it really helped my menstrual cramps, and I had the probably best experience over those 2 periods that I had, because the cramping just really wasn't bad. So I was like, well, there must be something to it when it comes to nutrition and diet. So I went to Asia Medic Chi here in Singapore for a health screening, but particularly focusing on the nutrition and vitamin side. And that's where I met Dr. Colin, who I mentioned previously, who was incredible. Not only have I struggled with cramps and things like that, but I've also had a real issue with bloating as long as I can remember. I always thought I possibly had IBS or gluten intolerance, because so many foods I eat, I just automatically look about 6 months pregnant. My bloating would be terrible, and yeah, it's something I've really struggled with. So I went to Dr. Colin, and he asked so many questions, which I really appreciated, because it felt like someone was finally like listening. And essentially he wanted to dive deep into the nutrition side of it and really get some answers as to what was going on in my body, and also how that may affect the hormonal side of it as well. So he ended up taking some blood. We did 6 vials of blood, which was actually quite a lot. Blood test and a stool sample as well, because they wanted to examine that also. And I have got the results, so I wanted to share them with you guys today. They also popped me in for another internal ultrasound as well, just because we wanted to clarify what was going on there. So I thought I would share the results with you guys today, and I really hope that it helps some of you. I was literally just searching on Google for PCOS misdiagnosis, and I couldn't believe the amount of videos that was coming up with other women who have been misdiagnosed as well. And it's just frustrating, because it seems to be an easy answer. If there's cysts in your ovaries, they're like, yep, you got PCOS, and that's that. When really, as Dr. Colin was sharing, there's a real spectrum. So it says here, both ovaries show abundant follicles of variable sizes and are normal in distribution. So because they weren't all uniformed and they were different sizes, they've said that there's no evidence of polycystic ovaries detected. So it just goes to show you can have cysts in your ovaries or an abundance of follicles, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have polycystic ovaries, which is crazy. And I just wanted to share this information with you guys, because I'm literally just learning as the years go by as well, and I'm sure you ladies are as well, but it's crazy to me that this is so common. So that's essentially it. I've been told I don't have polycystic ovaries, so I thought, okay, fine, fair enough. We also did a bunch of hormone level testing as well, which was really interesting. I'm higher in estrogen than I am in progesterone, so my progesterone levels are quite low. So this could explain me feeling like I had some kind of hormonal imbalance. I think all women and men should get their hormone levels checked. I think it's so important. We don't realize how much hormones affect us on a day-to-day basis. And I think it's something that we all really need to pay attention to. So that was really interesting. I also found out that my zinc levels and my vitamin B12 levels are pretty low. So that is where I need to eat more leafy greens. He's actually written a bunch of foods that I need to eat more of. Oysters, meats, dark leafy greens. He also wants me to take some supplements for zinc. The biggest one for me was I found out that I have yeast. He said, you've got yeast. And basically from the stool sample, they found out that I have like a lot of yeast in my stool, which he said is almost like having a little alien in your belly. It wants you to absorb as much yeast as you can. So I kind of knew this because I've always had a reaction to things like bread and pasta, and I absolutely love carbs, and it's something I've always known that my body looks and feels best when I'm on a low carb diet. I've always known that, but implementing it and being consistent with it is really difficult. So essentially, the more I'm feeding this yeast, these processed foods, and, you know, processed carbs, it is not helping me at all. Interestingly enough, this would be the cause of the majority of my bloating. When I went on a keto diet, I lost all bloating. I had the flattest stomach I've ever had, and I felt absolutely great. Which is so annoying because, like I said, I love carbs and sugar, but it just goes to show that for my body type, I know that I should be eating a high protein diet with lots of leafy greens and, you know, not eating as many refined carbs and sugars. So it's something I'm gonna have to properly think about implementing now on a long-term basis. And I mean, the struggle is real. We all love carbs, right? It's a struggle. And I've been researching heavily since I got my results, and everything's saying that yeast can have also a really big impact on menstrual cramps. So I now know there's a correlation between gut health and menstrual cramps and hormones, and I just feel like it's all related. So essentially, moving forward, what I'm going to be doing now is altering my diet, supplementing as the doctor has advised, as well as taking probiotics, and I'm going to just keep you guys updated with how this goes, and if it really has an effect on my menstrual cramps, perhaps it would help reduce my cysts, who knows. Everything is a bit of trial and error at the moment, and I think that's how every woman in my position kind of feels. It's all trial and error. It's a bit of a guessing game. We're getting so many different answers from different doctors and gynaes, and it's frustrating to never have like just straight answers. But I think at this point, I'm just gonna have to take things into my own hands and see if I can control it myself. If you girls are watching and you have been in a similar position, please do comment below and share your stories with me. I think it helps everyone and we can all learn from each other. And like I said, if you're based in Singapore and you wanna go for this nutritional screening or health screening as well with Dr. Colin, I highly recommend it, and I will leave their website and contact details down below for you to check them out. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful or if you enjoyed it. It really does help me out, and it'll help other women also see this video if you just hit that like button. The struggles of being a woman. I look forward to reading your comments, and thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.